This is my awl. Now this is a pointed tool that is used to lay out and mark holes in wood, and you can also use it in leather. Personally, I'm tired of using a nail to do this, so I decided to make my own awl. Now in this video, I'm going to show you how I made my awl step by step, so you too can make your own. I hope you enjoy, and maybe even learn a thing or two. This is the design I came up with. Now the wood I'm using is an African rosewood, which is really hard wood, so it's perfect for this. So I'm going to first start by cutting two pieces at 4 inches long. So the way I designed this awl is that it's going to have two flat surfaces on either side. That way it won't roll off your workbench. So one of these boards is 3/4 inches thick. So if I stack those two up, I'll get 1.5 inches. So that's going to be the one side of my awl. And the other side, as I'm doing here, is I'm ripping it down to 2 inches wide. So I'll have a diameter of roughly 1.75 to 1 7/8. But on the two flat spots, they're going to be 1.5 inches. So that's how I'm achieving this flat spot. You'll see what I'm talking about at the end of the video. I'm going to go ahead and glue this up, and I'm going to use an old press, which is perfect for gluing two pieces of wood together because then it doesn't move around on you while you clamp it. Well, that's gluing up. I'm going to focus on the shaft of this awl. So what I'm using here is a 3/16 hammer drill bit. Just an old one that I've found, and I cut that down and put it into my drill, so when I bring it to the belt sander, I can get an even grind on it, I guess you could call it. Now you've probably noticed I have some black electrical tape on the end of this. That's just telling me where I'm going to start my taper. Now this doesn't matter where this taper starts, I just decided it would look good here. I found the thickness of the shaft, and I'm going to get a corresponding drill bit to drill a hole in the ferrule. Now what we're using for this ferrule is a 3/8 flare cap, which we will be turning down on the lathe when the time comes. The wood blank is dry now, so we're going to pull that out of the clamp, and we're going to throw that onto the lathe. First thing I'm going to do here is true up the blank, just so there's no wobble on the lathe. And then I'm going to go ahead and start laying out my tenon for the ferrule. Now as you can see here, I'm starting to take that tenon down. Now the thickness of this tenon is going to be a little thicker than the fitting that we're going to be putting on this, because we want that brass fitting to thread on. Now that we got the brass ferrule on, we're going to take the rest of the awl down to roughly that thickness. So we have a nice transition from the ferrule to the actual wood. Now that we got the bulk of that wood off, we can start filing down this brass fitting. So what I'm using here is a really coarse file, and I'm just going to keep filing that until it's nice and smooth. Here I'm getting the rough profile of the awl down. Now I wanted a round top so it will fit nicely in your hand and comfortably. Now if you're planning on doing one your own, this is all a preference thing. You can do anything you want. You can put nice designs in it. I just wanted to go for a simple, smooth top. Once we've finished sanding that down, we're going to pull that off the lathe and we'll be ready for our next step. Now using that drill bit that we used earlier, we're going to drill down into the actual awl. So that's where the shaft will sit in. And here I am mixing up some 2-part epoxy, and that's how we're going to hold it in place. Now once you have the shaft in place, you're going to want to kind of rotate it a bit just to make sure that epoxy works around everywhere. This project won't be complete without a nice finish, so what I'm going to put on here is some linseed oil, and I'm going to thin that out with some mineral spirits. Now, the reason I'm thinning this out is because one, the linseed oil is kind of a thicker finish, and the other reason I use this mineral spirits is because it actually lets the finish get into the grain a bit more. And there's the final product. Now if you enjoyed this video or you learned something from it, please hit that like button. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe. And make sure you go check out the video of my marking knife I made, because all the techniques in this video were applied in that video, so you can also make your own marking knife. Thanks for watching.